Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. It is a lovely Sunday evening that I'm recording this Kirblog. Just had a very awesome time at Anime Los Angeles the last couple days. Props and shout-outs to the couple Tome fans and viewers and things that I met over the weekend. It was always a pleasure meeting anybody that ever cares about any of the stuff that I do in person. It was very cool. Hung out with a lot of friends, went to some great panels. And I'm back, and I'm just getting over having a sore throat this morning. So this is going to be a very chill Kirblog in terms of the volume, I'll say. But I wanted to do this tonight while I have time because Monday and Tuesday I am going to be busy with two voiceover gigs that I can't talk about yet, but I will be able to very soon, and I'm looking forward to doing those. So this should be pretty cool. But anyway, so I have a topic today suggested by Guardian Devil 105. This is one I've been sitting on also for a little while, as I often do with these. I was watching a recent Kirblog, and a question popped in my head. What are your thoughts on hidden themes, morals, and stories of any kind, such as religion, politics, etc.? Examples like X-Men originally being based on the segregation and racism at the time, or the first Pokemon movie having quite a bit of anti-war messages. And have you ever used or considered using anything similar in your stories? This is a great question, and as I often do with a lot of these ones that I get and then I sit on for a while, it's usually because I'm trying to wait and think of exactly what it is that I'm going to say on them, and I maybe try to do some delving into the topic further, do some research or whatever. But I didn't get to do that really, but I was thinking about this subject like in general lately, and I thought, you know what, I think I do want to talk about this. So I thought this was as good a time as any. We didn't have any other good ideas for right this moment, so I thought, yeah, this could work. I think this could be cool. I'm going to be kind of general with this topic. I think that each individual type of hidden theme and meaning of everything, those could all be their own Kirblog topics in themselves. But the spirit of the question is what I'm going to try to answer. I remember a long time ago when I was in college, I went to go see the live-action Where the Wild Things Are movie with a few friends of mine who were big fans of the book. I didn't grow up with the book, but I loved Maurice Sendak artwork. And so I decided, okay, I'll go check this out. And we went to go watch it, and it was all right. I enjoyed it just fine. But something I talked about afterward was I felt like I didn't really learn anything. And one of my friends was like, well, what do you mean? Like, you don't have to have doesn't have to be like a moral to the story necessarily or like a lesson. It's just an experience. And I was like, that's fair. I think, and it was a fun experience. It was entertaining. It was well put together movie and, pretty decent movie. But it hit me at that moment as I thought of what I meant by when I said that it didn't take away anything from the movie, basically. I guess the second part of the question, I'm going to pick on here briefly. I do try to use those sort of things in my own stories. At the time that I saw this movie, I was still in the midst of my, phase of doing a lot of parody stuff, and just before I was working on my thesis film and everything, and then eventually doing Tome. But I'd always thought about this particular subject in terms of like how I wanted to integrate that into my own stories, like bigger stuff, not like little goofy cartoons, but like the bigger things. And it's weird because I think in certain cases I can't always describe exactly what they are, and I think that that's not necessarily a bad thing because there's where do I even? I'm trying to think of what direction I can go with this thought here. In general, I do like it when I can take something away from when I'm watching something, whether it be a game or a show or a movie or whatever. If I can walk away with something memorable from that situation, from the whole overall story and development of the characters and everything, then it's something that really sticks with me and is really memorable. Sometimes it doesn't always have to be like 100% clear cut black and white as to what that thing is, because I don't necessarily like it when I'm beaten over the head with like, this is the moral of this story. This is the idea behind this. This is the vision of the person who created this. I think that sometimes that can be a little obnoxious or maybe even a little like not immature, not pandering. Like when you're seeing like a stereotypical quote unquote after school special that it's like drugs are bad, like that kind of thing. Like when it's that, it's like, okay, now you're beating me over the head with your moral. Okay, now that I've wasted 5 minutes of your time, I think I know where to go with this subject. Two of my favorite anime series, I'll use them as just some easy off the cuff examples, are Beck, Mongolian Chop Squad, which is a show about a group of kids in Japan who want to be a rock band in America, and it's very, very good, and I highly recommend you watch that. And then the other one is a show called Speedgrapher, which is about, I like to describe that one as X-Men meets Cowboy Bebop meets hot, sweaty sex. It's not for everybody, so maybe don't watch that one if it's not up your alley. It's very violent and very sexualized, but it's a very, very powerful story and has a lot of amazing stuff in it. With that show, with Speedgrapher, I'll use that one first. A lot of the overall theme of that series was that money corrupts. Money can very easily corrupt human beings, and it can turn them into absolute monsters. And in fact, it takes that figurative ideal and makes it kind of literal, because there's a lot of supernatural, like mutant type powers that are evolved from the characters, not necessarily their fetishes. In some cases, they're fetishes, but just like their thing that they care the most about, that they're most passionate about, etc. And the main character, he gets one of those powers, not by choice, and it's where he can take a picture of something and it blows it up. It's really fucked up and tragic. It's very bizarre, but it's a very powerful story, like I said, about these two characters, a wartime photographer and this teenage girl who is both of which are absolutely lost in what the fuck they're doing with their lives. And the girl of which is just like, she's in a state of like, I don't help, like, please help. Oh God, I don't know what I'm doing. In every stretch of the imagination, like her life is just a shambles. Despite being in a wealthy family, her life is absolutely fucking miserable. And a friend of mine who watched the series, he thought that the whole theme of that one being that money corrupts and money is bad, blah blah blah, etc., was a little too obnoxious and a little too beating over the head, and prevented him from enjoying it. For me, I totally understood in retrospect where he was coming from on that point, but for me personally, I feel like the experience, the way that the two main characters' journey was handled and what they go through together, and and all the obstacles that they overcome, that are, the obstacles are people driven by, greed and avarice and, indulgence, was really incredible. And it made it an extremely, like, amazing experience for me. And I absolutely love that show. Beck, Mongolian Chop Squad, is, I feel like the overall theme of that one that I took away was just that, like, life is hard. And life is full of a lot of unexpected twists and turns, especially when you're pursuing a dream. Again, about a bunch of kids that are trying to become a successful rock band in a country that they didn't grow up in. And that show is grounded in absolute realism. It's like it's practically like a live action film, just diced up into a 26-episode show and then turned into an anime. But it's really incredible. Another one that I did, that one anybody could watch. Please go check that series out, Beck. So for both of these cases, again, I'm just using these two just because they're coming to mind first. The biggest thing that I take away is from how a story treats its, I guess, not always human race, because, sometimes it's something that's in space and has aliens and other races and things, but it's population. I feel like the underlying themes and morals and hidden meanings and things, they all come through, through the characters that populate the world itself. And sometimes they don't always have to, again, they don't have to be like so specific or whatever. Like the life is hard thing with Beck, it's like, that's pretty, loosey-goosey. That's pretty whatever. It's like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, life is hard. So, but no, I think that theme, in tandem with it's a story about a bunch of crazy kids pursuing their dream. I think just worked really effectively. again, it just made it very memorable to me, and it was very inspiring. To how I choose to write the dialogue for a lot of my characters, for some of the archetypes that I pick, for a lot of the direction, cinematography wise and voiceover wise, etc. Little things like that, bits and pieces here and there from that, and a lot of other things that I watch. So for my own stuff, I think for stuff specifically I produce that has an air of like seriousness to it, not like Parody Rangers or the Nintendo collabs or whatever. That's just like, am I entertaining you? That's it. That's the moral. But for stuff like Tome and other things that I want to do down the line, with Tome, I guess like if I had to really like think hard about it and think of what the underlying theme is, I guess I could grind it down to something as basic as like, of the many people that you're going to meet throughout your life, there are some people who are assholes and who are going to be selfish and just want to piss all over your parade. And then there's going to be, amongst those and the people that are just kind of there, there's going to be a very few number of people that you can trust and that you can, consider to be like your family, and that, you can go to hell and back with. And that's very, again, that's super general. It's like, yeah, okay, and obviously each individual character has their own, issues to go through, and that's, part of the whole journey, of course. But while I don't think it has to be something necessarily very specific, very, very like intense, like this is what the moral is, this is the theme of this story experience. I do think, again, this is just for me personally, I think that there is some value to just pure, it's entertaining, it's funny, or it's fun to play if it's a game or whatever, that's fine. It'd make you laugh. But I think for something that is beyond just that, I think that it needs to be something that you can really take something away from. Sometimes whether it's like, oh, like that, I learned something from that. I learned something today. I learned something from what that one character went through. Or that made me, feel better about something bad that happened in my life that I could relate to, or, God, I don't know. There's just all sort of, just anything that like sticks with you. Something that has to stick with you. I think that comes back to the phrase I keep quoting from my teacher about how, we're rewarded for outstanding work and not, hard work or good work or whatever. It has to be outstanding. And I feel like those are the outstanding things about the truly great movies, games, books, anything, any creative storytelling medium. I think if you can take something away from it at all, I think that's what it has to be. For Tome, I can't fully judge this until the show is over, 100%. But so far, I think the biggest thing that people have taken away from that is in episode 6, the whole deal with Nylok. That was the scene that, a lot of people who were like kind of torn about his character and whether they thought he was annoying or endearing or entertaining or whatever. I think that was the big turning point where they're just like, oh, okay. And for the show in general, of like how much they would have enjoyed it or not. And we've done so much since then. It's been like a couple of years now, I believe, since we released that episode, believe it or not. But and those are bits and pieces, scattered throughout each episode, because this is a format where it's like, you're having a sort of a different experience, in chunks of 20 minutes or so, as opposed to a movie that goes on for a couple hours, or a game that goes on for several hours, and might all be one experience, or maybe in like how you'd experience a show or a book where something long form. I don't know. But yeah, I that's what always kind of guides me. And maybe on that same note, I could put more specific thought into it. I think for some of the other stuff that I want to do down the line, beyond just Tome, I think that there's certainly more specific themes and morals that I want to delve into. I think Tome is pretty general in terms of like, what its themes and morals are. I think Tome is one of those examples where maybe like at best it might be, no, not at best. Because I just talked about the Nylok scene, but there's scenes that I know have hit really home for people and have really made them feel good about themselves, and I'm always really honored to hear that it ever has any impact on people. But I think that overall Tome is kind of just like, it's entertaining, it's fun, it's engaging, and and again, like I said, there's value to that. There's value to that in any kind of show or movie or whatever that does that. But for me, what I enjoy the most and what I consider to be like, oh, this is really, I'm learning something from this, and this experience is like speaking to me. Hell, on a completely different type of example, I at the convention this weekend, I went to a couple of panels by Taliesin Jaffe, who's the voice director for Hellsing, and he co-directed Beck, and he's done tons and tons of amazing anime and video games. His panels were just stories about what it is that he went through in life and what it is that he was passionate about, and his process in working. But it was all framed in as a story, and it was incredibly moving. And I bought the guy fucking dinner on Friday because I was just like, that really spoke to me, And then I told him, Beck was a big thing for me as well. Yeah, I mean, that was a panel at an anime convention, and I had an experience that was as memorable as any film or movie, game, show, whatever, anything, words, English. Hell, even what I was saying about when I did the Korra vlog about, just even if that one bit at the end with Korra and Asami, if that was even, if that was the one thing that I took away from it. Well, that was an extremely entertaining story experience, but just from like a meaningful thing, it's like, getting to see that happen at the very end of the show was that was the thing that's going to stick with me forever, and it's going to stick with a lot of people forever. I feel like I could go on about this one forever, but I might do like subtopic sequels to this at some point down the line. Hopefully this covers and answers the basic question. But I want to know in the comments. Tell me about anything. It doesn't have to be your favorite show, movie, game, book, anything, whatever of yours. But just give me an example of one that you really had an experience with that taught you something, that you learned something from, that really left a major impact on you, and why it did. Not just like, oh, I liked it, or oh, I enjoyed, the story was cool, or the characters are cool. Like something that just like really, really connected with you, and like in a deeper way than just the face value of its entertainment. You know what I mean? I'm curious. This is something I often talk about with a lot of my friends, and I'm curious about all y'all out there who suggest these topics in the first place. Some examples. And if you have ideas for future Kirblog topics, as I'm always looking for new ones, please hit me up on the comments below, or on Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, whatever you feel like, and that'll do it. I will see you all soon. More Tome reruns to be had on this channel, and more Kirblogs to be recorded, etc. So look forward to that, and otherwise have a great week, and I'll catch y'all later. Bye.